Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? Can I please have the first two cards in our 5-card spread for today? First two cards we are starting our day off with today are, oh boy, here we go. Okay, let's talk about it. This is what we're talking about right now. Guys, we are deep in the heart. Like we're not deep. I mean, like we're not even deep in the heart of it yet. We are now in the Venus retrograde. And so there's a lot of over concentration. This energy, I'm going to keep on describing this energy for you right now. It's cracked mirror energy, right? It is cracked mirror energy. It is looking at the self and feeling like one is lacking. It's feeling like one is distorted. Venus and retrograde cycles create distorted views on our own self. So if you're starting to feel comparative right now, if you're comparing yourself to others, if you're being really hard on yourself, I say this with all my love, the love in my heart, stop. Okay? It's not, just cut it out because it's going to get more amplified. It's going to get even, we got a couple weeks of this right now. Okay? Then that's why we're starting today's reading with the Devil card and the Sun card, right? Like it's a lot of this back and forth stuff right now. So if you feel like you're moving, like everything's going to be fine, everything's awful, like the answer is probably right in the middle, right? This work that we're experiencing. I got to tell you right now, this work that we're experiencing during this period of March is working on building into the context of the self, how one finds balance, what one feels is necessary to create a sense of balance. It's difficult. It's frustrating, right? It's a lot of working through this. And the thing about it is it's okay. This is what we talk about. Like these two cards in combination are actually like, these are the cards we see when we're discussing shadow work, right? Because what is shadow work? Shadow work is working through the energetic blind spots of the self. It's navigating that territory, right? It's working through the space of your fears, working through the space of your insecurities. What do we do with that space? We bring a flashlight, right? We bring a flashlight into those spaces. And so this is the message that we're coming through right now. If things feel bleak, become that flashlight, right? If things feel heavy, let that be the space that you put the light in. And that's why they're saying like that ability of doing so, you have got to extend the compassion that you give to others. You must first bring to yourself, right? Because the moment that we're compassionate with ourselves, we suddenly find that wellspring of patience and compassion for those around us. But, right, there's also, and the reason I'm also seeing that it's difficult right now is because at the same time, I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy that is shifting during this time. And a lot of that work in relationality to navigating those shifts, it's not easy, right? It's working on, it's identifying, and I keep on getting the space of identifying where I keep on getting and this is what's so difficult about energy. Like when I see energetic shedding of this level, because this is the difference that I keep on seeing, that someone is recognizing about the difference between a cycle and a lesson, right? The difference between a habit and progress. Now let's talk about this, because, and here's the thing we have to recognize. There are cycles. It's not everything is not about breaking out of a cycle. We find cycles that are healthy, right? We find cycles that are restorative, right? Those cycles that we call restorative, they become our rituals. They become our habits. They become our practice, right? At the same, and when we feel those, and this is why I kept on telling you that a lot of the messages that we were receiving prior to moving into this energy was make sure that you had that energetic anchor for yourself, right? Because that's why we sometimes move into that space of building a sense of practice for ourselves. Because when everything else feels out of whack, we know where to go to find our center, right? Like there's a lot of that work that's occurring here. Now, at the same time, we're seeing that while we're identifying what's happening with relationships right now, I keep on seeing that a lot of this Venus in retrograde, like the combination force of the Venus in retrograde with the Uranus in Taurus, which is like the fuse that gets down to here, there's a lot of energy that is having a lot of clarity in terms of looking at something, right? And identifying whether the energetic cycle is moving in a space of productivity or if it feels like it's moving oppositional to that, right? And that's why we sometimes, and like this is what we've been talking a lot about. This is why a lot of those conversations have been coming through in relationality to, and yesterday had a really beautiful message that was coming through, because yesterday's message was built upon the fact that when we are putting patience to things, progress is the respiration breath, right? Like when we are feeling patience, we hold our breath. And when someone meets our patience with progress, it's like, and this is why we talk about the fact that our patience becomes unlimited, right? Because the patience feels like it is being rewarded. And when we're in healthy partnership, that's why we sometimes find that we have exceptional patience for one another, because it's not an exceptional, because it doesn't feel like we're waiting. It feels like we're respirating, right? We put patience to something, and then the immediacy of someone bringing progress to something that we're being patient upon. Like this is what we talk about with wing work, right? It is like the cycling flow state wherein something expands and then it contracts again. So we're seeing that a lot of that space in terms of identifying the energetic relationships that feel like they're in a healthy space and almost feel intuitive, because when we're in alignment, right, it feels like we're respirating properly, right? The patience is immediately met with progress. The patience is immediately met with progress. That is like the flow state of the healthy relationship. At the same time, I just keep on seeing a lot of energy that is potentially looking at past connections and saying that was a place that I started feeling I had more and more patience on, and it was requiring more and more patience. And I learned a lot of patience in that moment from someone that told me I had none of it, right? Like it's almost like that expansion point that we sometimes realize, where we suddenly realize how strong we are, because it's very characteristic of when we're not in alignment that we're being profoundly patient with someone, and then they're faulting us for losing our temper. They're faulting us because they're looking at an imbalanced situation that requires one person to just be in a state of perpetually waiting, and the other person saying, you just need to be more patient. You really have to work on your patience. Why are you so angry all the time? Failing to recognize, and this is why we see that often those unhealthy relationships collapse. Because at the time that someone's finally ready to arrive with the progress that another person is aspiring for, they have expired. They have run out of breath. They have run out of patience, right? And so I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now that's karmically clearing something by recognizing whether something was in a good space or whether something was built to collapse, right? And that's that energy. Like when we have those moments, we say there's no fixing that. There's just the observation that that is the case. And so I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of that mindfulness that is occurring right now. And this is why I can see that some of the energy right now may be feeling in separation, like they're being pulled in two different directions. Because at the same time that I see them moving into healthy connections, I see something around them that may be feeling like they're trying to come back to fix something, not by actually showing transformation, but by admitting how they feel. And I keep on hearing the same message, which is a surplus of something is not a solution, right? An admission of something is not a transformation, right? Transformation is being able to recognize something that has changed. And if this is energy that's trying to come back to someone and say, I'm finally ready to admit how I feel, this is the energy saying that was never the problem in the first place. I knew how you felt. Like, this is the energy going, it's like, that is, the bar is on the floor. The bar is on the floor. like that is the energy that goes the bar. And that's why I keep on hearing the difference between someone saying, you're still going on about this versus new energetic connections that say less. Right? Because when we're not invested in the same path work and we try to say something to another, it feels like we hit a brick wall. Because regardless of whether they can't understand us or whether they refuse to, it's often that moment that it feels like we're like, like nothing is getting through, is often an indication that we are not invested in working through the same lessons. We are not in alignment. Whereas I see at the same time that someone is dealing with that in separation, at the same time, almost conversely, at the same exact moment, new energetic connections are happening that is helping the energy in separation to understand the difference. It says, stop talking about this versus someone that says, say less. And what does it mean when someone says, say less? They say, you don't need to explain it to me. I'm already up to speed. No, I totally know what you're talking about. Oh my God, you're triggering me, right? Like that moment that we say to another, I understand profoundly. I'm not telling you not to speak because I don't want to hear it. I'm telling you not to speak because I know it far too well. And that's why I see even now that same lesson, that is the energy, right? That is the energy that is now coming. And these are all Virgo lessons. Like we're moving into the Virgo full moon. So these are all Virgo lessons, which again, the Virgo lesson that's coming for the energy and separation right now is you can't like understanding is sanctified, right? The reason that we sometimes have those moments that we love someone is saying like, I don't need to, like, I just see you and I don't even need to I don't feel like I need to catch up with you. We're on the same page, right? We don't like, it's like I keep on hearing the quiet silence of understanding that bars the effortless words. Now, and like that's often the different, like those moments I keep on hearing like this, like I keep on hearing the difference, being able to understand the difference, the dumb, I keep on hearing being able to understand the difference between the dumb silence and I want to point this out. I am not saying dumb. You have to understand this because this word's been coming through. I'm not saying dumb as an insult. I'm using dumb in the archaic form. Dumb being something that, like dumbness was often utilized to describe not an ability not to feel something. Like dumbness and numbness, the reason that they're the same root is because it's something that like it's not in tune, right? So like the ability, the silence that is met when someone does not, there's a lot of energy right now in separation that is recognizing that the profound sadness of the silence that you feel when you recognize someone does not understand you, right? Like what are you talking about? Versus the profound, incredible, like shocked silence that you feel when you understand each other completely. And for a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union, I got the same thing happening, which is why I keep on seeing that this energy's got a finger over their lips. It's going into Virgo because a lot of that space of going into Virgo is, again, when we are in a Virgo state, we understand, we don't feel that need to get everything off of our chests. A lot of the Virgo lesson is understanding that the gift that we sometimes hold for another are the apologies that we store within the self. Because a lot of the Virgo work is recognizing that when another person gives something to another that gets it off their chest, it doesn't have to feel like that to the other person, right? Like in that moment that we release something, the other person may feel like when we say like there are conversations that we can have when we say, I'm glad I got that off my chest, and the other person says, I don't, because it feels like you've given me a burden. Right? like that work, right? Like that moment, right? Like that space, it's like the utilization of discernment, right? And so this is why I see that for the energy coming into divine union, the understanding of energetic hygiene as it relates to holding an apology for someone or feeling the need of receiving one from someone, but not chasing after it, is sanctified. That's why they say that. That's why I keep on hearing they're putting the apologies on the altar, right? Because that says if the day ever comes, if that sublime moment ever arrives that I can have that conversation, I will be willing to receive it, but I'm not going to go chase after it, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within divine union, I'm going to tell you right now, this feels like Rocky Balboa energy. This is just like, this is a lot of this, like, this is very much like just tackling things as you need to tackle them. And the thing I need to tell you right now is there's a lot, I keep on seeing, there's a lot of work that has to do right now with, what requires like not being able to look at situations, like having to work through the nuance of and this is why I keep on hearing that it's a Virgo lesson, because it is understanding that the reason that we don't move into a space of saying everyone gets everything is because when we are in a place that we're being mindful of the work that we're trying to do, we understand that something that we do, something that we could give one person is helpful, but something, if we give something to another person the same way, it could be harmful, right? I see that there's a lot of that work in navigating nuance here. All of this, like, these are like super heavy Virgo lessons that are coming through, but they're beautiful, right? Because they're requiring a lot of, like, I want to say it's requiring a lot of care. It's requiring a lot of, it's requiring a lot of discernment. Center card in our 5-card spread is, boom, we've got here our Knight of Pentacles energy. So, one of the things that we're also recognizing right now is there's a little bit of, like, I got to tell you right now, there's a bit of forcefulness here. There's something really important to note in relationality to, I keep on seeing, I want to say, like, energetic conviction. And a lot of that space, like, the reason I'm seeing this to a certain extent has to do, and these are a lot of the continuations of the lessons that we saw during the Mars retrograde cycle. Remember how we spoke about during that Mars retrograde cycle, that the entirety of the Mars retrograde cycle was a conversation as to the nature of surrender. The fact that surrender is often misunderstood. Surrender does not mean giving up. Surrender means recognizing where we are where we are insisting, right? Like, and that's why I keep on hearing, like, the message that we received during the retrograde was the fact that the difference between us, like, I kept on hearing, the difference between a soldier and a warrior is that a warrior knows when to surrender, right? A warrior picks their battles. A warrior, like, navigates or recognizes what is worth their time, effort, and energy versus what is not, right? And so I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of this work here. And that's what's interesting about the fact, and they're saying to a certain extent that, like, the Aries energy and the Virgo energy are connected in this space, right? It's not always like that desire to push forward. It's utilizing and understanding and regulating one's own energetic nature, right? And so I keep on seeing, and that's why I keep on hearing the message, it's not about not being triggered, right? I need to point this out. Like, when nothing affects us, it's almost like we're disassociating. But I keep on hearing that there's a lot of energy that's working in the context of saying, I know the difference between passion and projection, right? I know the difference between someone that is energetically passionate about something versus someone that is just being ruled by the emotions. And that's very interesting, because this has a lot to do with that space of recognizing that, I keep on hearing fervor, right? Fervor is connected to both passion and anger. But the thing is, when fervor is connected to passion, there is a point to the passion, right? There is something that you're trying to communicate. So often when someone is passionate, if someone does not understand them, they misconstrue them as being angry. Whereas anger is the opposite. Anger is senseless. Anger is when we allow the emotions to get the better of us. There's no logic connected to it. So I see even now there's a lot of work that's happening as it relates within deep within divine union in the articulation point between passion and anger, right? They often, and this is interesting because you'll remember that during the Mars retrograde, we were talking a lot about the fact that confidence and courage look like cousins. They're often misidentified for each other, right? But passion and anger are often and here's the thing that they keep on saying: passion and anger are often only mislabeled when you don't have the understanding and insight of the difference. Like your own attunement helps you recognize the difference between passion and anger. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is very intriguing because I see even now this is energy that's looking back on something, right? And they're looking back on something and saying, I thought that was passion that I was experiencing. That wasn't passion. That was someone that hated me. Like I see this energy going, oh my gosh, there's some energy right now that's either looking back on something and being like, this is why the message is coming through. This is why I keep on hearing some energy going, that's not romantic to me anymore. Because there's some energy that it was an experience where they looked back and they thought what they were experiencing from someone was passion. But now they're looking at it and they're like legitimately afraid by it, or they're afraid about themselves because they're seeing, they're getting the message of being able to notice the difference between passion and anger. And sometimes when you're not looking at things, like emotions will sometimes confuse anger for passion and vice versa, right? That's why I keep on hearing that person owes me an apology, or I owe that person an apology, right? Like, now for masculine and feminine that is in separation, there's a lot of this work as it relates to looking at something where I keep on seeing someone is coming towards someone, like, and this often happens, like when someone does not have intention with us, they may come towards us from a state of anger to try to inspire or ignite our passion for them. Right? This is why we often talk about the fact that attention is not intention. That when someone demands our attention, they'll do anything for it, including trying to get us upset, right? Like, including trying to get us upset, which is why I see like energy that is potentially working through something where like I can see someone saying, why are you coming at me like this? Where did this come from? Right? Because if we're not in a healthy space and we're trying to move back closer to someone, we will do anything to try to get their attention, including trying to like incite their anger, right? So I keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy that's saying like, and I keep on hearing the difference. I can tell the difference between someone acting like, I keep on hearing, I can see the difference between someone, bringing passion to me, but with no intention, right? Because the passion with intention is transformative, right? But the passion that we feel, like I keep on seeing the difference between the passion that has wings, that moves us forward, versus the passion that builds when someone feels like they're not getting the thing that they wanted, right? And that's why I keep on seeing this energy that almost says, like, in a state of love, we don't insist on things, because it is the insistence on what we desire that isn't in attunement to our counterpart, right? Fourth and fifth card. This is like a super, I'm not surprised to see it with the energy that we're experiencing right now. Ugh, it's like it's dealing with ugly things. But it's Venus retrograde. I'm not surprised to see this, Fourth and fifth card. Yep. Ace of Cups and the star energy in its reversal. When we see ugliness, right? When we see ugliness in another, and I don't mean, listen, I don't mean the visage. Like, I don't mean the visage of ugliness. I don't mean like here. I mean within here, right? Like when we're in those spaces, like when we're in those moments, like when we see something and suddenly something that we thought was beautiful looks ugly to us, it breaks our heart, you know, like it creates those moments that like I keep on hearing some energy, like I keep on hearing some energy, feeling like I keep on hearing like they're exhaling because they're seeing side, like I'll tell you right now, like Venus in retrogrades, especially with this type of energy. This is why I'm saying like making sure that you're not moving towards someone in a provocative way, but trying to move towards someone in a place of trying to explain how one feels instead of projecting how you feel on another. You know, like I keep on seeing that, like it has a lot to do with building into the context. And this is what we talk about. I see some energy, and we were working on this too. And I need to point, like, and it has to do again, and this is why it's so nuanced. Like, so much of the reason I'm trying to be very specific right now is because there's like a lot of nuance with this energy. I'm going to say it again because this keeps on coming through. Our emotions are not okay, because you have to put all of these together to understand that the shape of it. Our emotions are not a burden, right? That's tenet one. Our emotions are not a burden, okay? Unless here comes the second unless we are not doing the internal algebra on them. If we are doing the work of understanding what the emotions are asking for, this is why we don't say to someone, I'm angry at you. Why? Like, you don't, like, I don't know, like you don't come into that space. You explain, you articulate the reasons why. As long as you can explain how you feel and how to alleviate it, then your emotions, like if you're not looking to someone to fix your emotions, if you're coming to someone with your emotions and bringing the prescription, okay? If you bring someone your emotions and say, these are my emotions, this is the prescription, this is what could fix them, then your emotions are not a burden. At the same time, and this is also why, the reason why is because we are not responsible for the emotions that another feels towards us. I cannot reach into you. I cannot go in you and make you feel something for me. That is not something that I can control. And thereby, if I cannot control it, your emotions, and I can say this with all the respect and love in my heart, our emotions are not each other's responsibility. Right? That's why when someone expresses their love to us, it feels like a gift because they don't have to, and I have no control over it. But sometimes when someone isn't in a healed space, when someone is navigating trauma makes us feel like we have to apologize for something that another person feels for us, like it's our fault, failing to recognize that there's no power or control that we have as it relates to how another person feels about us, right? So there's a lot of work that is occurring right now as it relates to discovering energetic hygiene. And energetic hygiene is understanding the state by which we understand that while we may have a lot of feelings for each other, ultimately we're not at fault for the feelings that we create in each other, right? But that moment, like when someone says, I feel all of this about you and it's like you have to do something about it, that's often that moment that we have to walk away from someone, because that's when we say respectfully, I care about you, but that's an ugly thing to say. Right? Like that's an ugly thing to say. It's ugly to say, I feel these things for you and it's you're the cause. You're the one to blame. Right? And that's why I keep on hearing the energy that's in spirit says that's what an ugly thing to say. That the emotions that are within you are the damage point. The fact that someone can inspire something in you, you would castigate them for and make them feel ugly because of it. That is the gift. That is the magic of being alive. The fact that we can see someone and they can inspire things in us. They can help us find ourselves. But when another says, this is your fault, I'm going to punish you, I'm going to try to hurt you because the feelings I have, I don't know how to navigate and they're hurting me and I just need a way to like get them off of me, right? Like that's why we work in that space of being very introspective of our energy, because the emotions are a gift. And that's why the emotions are not each other's responsibility, right? Continuing to get clarification between the Devil card in combination with the Sun card. Like it's a lot of this like enough kind of energy right now. But I think it's enough. It's like saying to me, it's like enough around things that aren't serving. You know what I mean? Like it feels like it's a lot of this like one card to clarify. Yeah, the full like it, and I gotta tell you, and I keep on seeing the same message right now. I need to point this out. Don't get it twisted. I keep on hearing, don't get it twisted. That we're gonna talk about it again. There is a difference. What is abandonment? Abandonment is moving away from something the minute something is difficult, right? The minute that something is slightly not in the space that we want it to be, we walk away from it, right? Self-preservation is moving away from something after you've navigated something several times, you've experienced it the same way, and then you say, I can't do this anymore because I don't feel that contributing more energy to this is going to move it into a positive space. But often it's very easy to get those twisted, that if an energy is in a space where they're abandoning another person over and over and over and over and over again, then in that moment that the person finally relents and says, I can't take this anymore, and they move away from self-preservation, the energy goes, you're abandoning me, right? It's like the knife in the back. It is like the energy saying, now you are becoming the thing that you accuse me of, right? But that's the thing. When someone's in that space and someone is always in a space of blaming another instead of doing the work for the self, even as you move away from them, they will blame you for not being there to absorb the pain that they're bringing forth to you. You know, like, and that's why I keep on seeing that there's a lot of this energy here that is looking like, I keep on hearing the energy saying, don't get it twisted. Don't say that I am, don't say that I am the one, like I see the energy saying like someone trying to bring logic to a situation and saying like, look, this is what's logically happening. And that's why I keep on hearing the same thing. The difficulty is even if you're moving away from a situation that is causing trauma, you cannot bring logic. You cannot heal trauma with logic. Trauma is what happens, the energy, the pain that lacks reason. The pain that lacks sense. And that's the thing about it. When you're in a traumatic situation, you cannot explain your way into safety. You cannot explain to another person, because if someone has left the realm of logic, it doesn't matter whether you make sense. It's whether they want to hear it or not, right? While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is what I see as it relates to having to see something with clarity. And this is why I keep on seeing and I got to tell you right now, sometimes when we're having those moments, the most loving, kind thing we can do is walk away, right? We can walk away from someone and say, I've got all kinds of love for you, but I need to move away from this. Because if you're not being logical, or if you're hurting me, like that is the clarity point. And I keep on seeing that even now, if there's something coming back to someone and another person says, I'm finally ready, and I need to point this out, if circumstances like this evolved and another person comes back and they say, I'm finally ready, I've transformed, and someone goes, you've transformed, how have you transformed? I'm finally ready to admit how I feel about you. Can you see how that would not be the fix? That is not the fix that is necessary in that situation, right? That would almost be a moment that someone feels like doubly resigned in relationality to what another person has been working on versus what they find, right? It's like a lot of, like, there's a lot, and that's painful, right? And that's the energy that, like, I can see the energy that's saying to one another, like, I can almost hear some energy saying, I'm very proud of you, but that's not enough. Right? Like, that's great. I'm very happy for you, but that wasn't what the problem was, you know? Like, that's a lot of that work. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, this type of work that we're seeing, this is why I keep on seeing, like, this is the energy that moving forward feels painful. Right? I got to tell you, being on a good spiritual journey isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Moving on a spiritual journey, you're going to feel more. Right? Like, this is a lot of that energy that's carrying the weight. Like, there's those apologies I told you. Right? And they're carrying them with you. Like, they're carrying them with them. That's why they're saying, I hope the day was come. I long for the day that I might be able to have a conversation with someone, but I'm not running after them for it. That's why I would not be surprised if you're having a lot of karmic dreams right now, because as a reader, when I see situations like this happening, this is when everyone starts coming to me and saying I'm having karmic dreams. I'm like, well, yeah, there's a lot of people, like there's a lot of energy right now that is recognizing and is shifted, and they've got apologies, but they don't want to hurt someone in giving forth the apology. So that's where the dream space can sometimes be a nice in between, right? Continuing, and for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, this is all breakthrough. This is finding new words. This is doing things in new ways. This is like new year, new me kind of energy. Continuing to get clarification between the Sun card and our Knight of Pentacles. It is having a different impact right now on masculine and feminine. We're going to talk about it. Yep, there's that Emperor energy. I'm not surprised about this. So we got to point this out. I need to stress this. Masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. I've been noticing this characteristic. Whenever we have a planetary alignment, it's like the message or the lessons come through across all of the genders. It's like everything's just coming through at once. We're coming back into the segmentation point. Now, the thing about it is I keep on seeing that the masculine energy is feeling very gregarious right now. Masculine energy is feeling very gregarious in this energy. This is the masculine that wants to open up. I'm not surprised to see this. Why? Because when masculine heals their egoic shield, they don't feel shameful about their feelings. They want to connect with others. They want to share their emotions, right? So I see a lot of this energy of masculine moving into some kind of modality right now of healthy camaraderie. Right? It's like heart to heart energy. You know what I mean? I gotta tell you, like, it's like a lot of this, like, I mean this in a sweet way. It's a lot of this, like, I love you, bro, kind of energy. But like, it means like, I mean that in like a nice way, because it's saying to me that is the breakthrough for a lot of masculine. Remember what I said? The energy and separation. I'm ready to admit how I feel. So and I need to stress this, like, that is like that in itself, like, this is the energy that is working in that context. If you're deep within divine union, it's allowing for that sense of like putting one's arms out, right? While for the energy of the feminine, this is the energy of the feminine healing the heart space in the other way, but this is the feminine coming into that space of healing the self-pleasing, healing the experiences that told feminine, you have to be for everyone. No, nothing for yourself. Why are you so selfish keeping something for yourself? You should think about others, right? So this is a lot of the feminine that is becoming more restrictive in the same energetic space, because this is the feminine doing that work of healing the heart space by saying, I am not cake. Not everyone deserves a slice of me, right? You don't have to feel like you have to give yourself equally to things. You can utilize the power of the compassion of the self is recognizing and having discernment. Everything can get done in the context of prioritization and time. That's happening across all the frequencies right now. And I do feel like there's a lot of energy shifting right now. Like a lot of energy, like there's a lot of energy shifting right now. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Pentacles and our Ace of, and that's what's interesting for the energy coming into divine union. These are where the apologies live. Masculine being like, I wasn't ready to admit it back then. There's that apology. My heart is opening here. Right? I'm holding these apologies as sacred. Feminine, I was looking at situations. I was trying to give myself more. I was trying to give more of myself to fix it. If a situation isn't in alignment to you, nothing you give is going to change it. Right? But that's why I see a lot of the feminine energy being in that space of saying, like, holding that place of consideration for oneself in the process. Now, that's why I see even now, like, that's why this is the segmentation point for a lot of energy and situation, because I see a lot of energy now that's straddling between the past and the present. And this is why sometimes we have those moments that if someone comes back to us and they say, I've got something to say to you, and you say what, and you wait for them to say, like, and this is the thing, we move away from someone with the hope that they'll transform, but never the expectation, right? So you see someone who's hoping for someone to say, I understand what those changes are, and instead they're saying, I want to admit I have feelings for you. You can see why some of the energy's like, like talking about a surplus is not a transformation, right? Talking about a surplus is not a transformation. I keep on getting this message, and that's a Pisces. That is Pisces and Scorpio. like rallying together. And they keep on saying, like they're shouting it. They're going, having a surplus is not a transformation. It's a surplus. It's not a transformation. It's a surplus. Continuing to get clarification between the Knight of Pentacles and the Ace of Cups. One card to clarify. Yeah, Magician. It's not romantic, it's concerning. It's not romantic, it's concerning, right? Because like that's the thing about it. Like you can't I keep on hearing the message, you can't change something by having a lot of something. You can't change something by having a lot of something. If you have, and this is why we heal, because if we are in an unhealed space, our love does not feel like love. Right? So you can imagine the situation that there's energy that had to depart from a situation because they say, I know that person has all the love in the world for me, but their love does not feel like love because they're too traumatized. I really hope they have the chance to change. And then we move on with our lives. And then someone comes back to us and they go, I've got something to say to you. And you're like, what? And they're like, I've got something important to say to you. And what is it? They're like, I have a lot of love for you. And someone being like, that was not the problem. Like, no, that's the problem. Like when you are not in a healthy space and you've got a lot of love for someone, but your love doesn't feel like love, that becomes a problem for another person. like that is not a good thing. That is alarming. Like that is the energy that goes, yeah, you having a lot of the thing that was hurting me from the onset is not a gift. It's something that it is you starting to recognize the problem. Like this is the energy that's going, yeah, someone came towards me and they're starting to recognize the problem, but they haven't addressed the problem. Right. And that's what I see is so difficult, which is seeing someone, like I see some energy going, yeah, I feel very happy for them. They're starting to address the problem, but they haven't starting to see the problem isn't addressing the problem, right? Starting to see the problem is not addressing the problem. And at the same time, I see a lot of this energy coming into divine union, like in separation saying, oh no, I know. Right. And this is the thing this is why we become scared of love. Right? This is why energy that's traumatized is often scared of love, because when we're in a trauma environment, the love we give does not feel like love. Right? And this is the energy that says, and this is why I keep on hearing the energy say less. I too know the experience of having to put distance from someone that you care about because you understand the pain, the absolute pain of understanding that someone can have all the love for you. But if they haven't done the work on themselves, when someone says, I love you, but they're not in a healthy space, that doesn't feel like a blessing, right? That feels like, it doesn't feel the way that they like. It's how we give that love, right? It's paying, love is active listening. And if we give love the way because it feels good, but we don't care about how it feels for another, this is where the trauma lives, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Cups. And this is why I keep on hearing for a lot of the energy deep within divine union. I hear this energy saying there's a conversation with someone I wish I could have, right? Like I see energy that's healing by circumnavigating and having those conversations with counterpart, right? Being like, I wish I could have this conversation with them. I'm having it with you instead. Because often that's what happens that's the thing, when someone's in a space of trauma, we don't feel the security in having those type of conversations with them, right? And so it often requires us to have to circumnavigate. So I just keep on seeing that there's a lot of that energy that is working through that to a certain capacity. And it's like, I can see the energy that's whose heart breaks in the process, but is also fortified, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Ace of Cups. And this is the thing, I'm telling you right now, it's having I'll tell you right now, for masculine energy, I see masculine energy moving more into the modality of being energetically protective, right? For feminine energy, I just keep on seeing that this is a feminine energy. Like this is how this Mars retrograde is working through this, because feminine energy is often in that moment where they know feminine energy often move in that context of feeling the weight of fearing of doing something is best, but another person not liking you for it, right? Like this is a lot of the energy of the and this is why I keep on seeing this energy of the feminine going, and I like this for the energy of the feminine that's healed, which is this is a feminine going, I'm going into my villain era, which is like, and I think it's funny because I hear spirit going, if you're doing something that you know is right, and the only reason you're going into your villain era is because you realize that you doing something you know is best, someone else hearing no from you and deciding that you're terrible for saying no. Like this is the energy that's like, that's okay. Like let that no protect you, right? Like your no is like I keep on hearing like feminine saying, the beauty, like there's something really beautiful about the fact that feminine says, I feel safe when I feel like my no is respected, right? Two cards coming up to clarify this. Yep, here we go. Page of Swords and it's upright with the Five of Swords in its reversal. Why won't you let me be nice to you? Why won't you let me be nice to you? Pain, trauma does not come when someone wants to hurt us. Pain and trauma comes when someone says, why won't you let me be nice to you? Right? When we are not mindful about the fact that when we are just trying to give our love to each other, right? But we're not conscientious about what another person wants, right? This is how trauma is caused in the space of love, right? And when someone says, you've hurt me, and someone goes, I don't hurt you, I love you. Being like, yeah, you can hurt me and love me. Those are not mutually exclusive. In fact, that's typically where trauma starts, right? Because when someone says, why won't you let me love you? It's a space that it is the ego speaking. Right? Because love is active listening. Love is not giving someone what you want to give. Love is hearing what another person experiences as love and working to serve it, right? This is why we talk about the space that when we're in a loving energy, we serve love, right? We are attentive to what love's desires are. We are attentive to what love's needs are because we understand that, like, again, if I'm going to give you a gift, if I like bowling and you've never bowled before and I give you a bowling ball, right? Like that's great, but I don't know you at all, right? I'm giving you, like I'm showing you the fact that I care about you, but I don't really care about knowing, learning about you, right? Love is introspective. Love is active listening. And I keep on seeing, that's why I keep on hearing the difference right now between energy saying, what are you talking about in separation? You're still going on about this versus someone says, say less. Say less. It's understanding the power of silence, but that dumb silence, the silence that feels like it's in that moment that you have the understanding that someone does not see you, does not understand you, does not know the pain that they're putting you through, versus the moment of building into a connection where someone says, you don't need to explain it because I know it all too well. I'm going to finish your sentence for you. Right? And that's the energy. Like that is the silence that says, it almost feels hard to, you don't even need to explain it because you say, I know you understand. While continuing to get clarification here between, these are some strong cards today, we got the Fool, the Emperor, and the Magician out. Between the Fool card and the Emperor, Seven of Cups in its reversal, right? The identification of love is honoring another's choice. Love is honoring one another's choices. Love is honoring one another's choices. And that space, like that's why we talk about, that's even we even talk about this. Like when someone spreads their wings, it's hard, we have those moments, we understand that in those moments of that journey, we wrestle with this. Like, I got to tell you, even when we're in loving, like the things that we feel versus seeing what another desires, like we often have to work through that space. Like we say, let it be, please let it be so that my love does not come across selfishly, right? That is the plea of the loving energy. Let my love be brought forth in a way that it does not feel like that it is strangulation. Don't let my love feel like it smothers. Let it feel like it brings air. Let it feel like it is breath that enters into you, right? As opposed to something that stifles you in that force of love. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy working through that capacity, and that's why I see even now, look at this energy right now in separation. Like I see a lot of energy feeling like they're pulled in two different directions. Because again, I keep on seeing someone coming towards you in the context of making progress in the space of being able to admit something that you already knew to be, right? Versus new energetic connection, like versus building into an energetic connection where someone says, you don't need to explain something to me. I understand it perfectly, right? There's a lot of work that's happening right now in the determination point of alignment. And I'm going to tell you right now, listen to me, because I'm going to stress this. I am not saying to you what direction to move into. That choice is always up to you, because they're saying to me everything for some energy right now, that articulation point in seeing the fact that someone from the past is having a breakthrough that allows something to move forward, that could be happening right now, right? The space of like working in a space of like building into a context here. What's important to address is how this impacts you personally. And they're saying like the messages to keep in mind as you're navigating these moments is recognize the difference between a surplus of something and progress. You know, having a lot of something is not the same as and that's what keeps on coming through. Bringing forth the space between understanding the difference between transformation and admission, right? A lot of something versus something that's actually changed. Continue, and this is happening like this message is happening across the frequencies, which is why I see even now like a lot of the energy coming into divine union is transforming. They're going through that energetic transformation. And what is the transformation? The energy goes, I owe that person an apology, or that person owes me an apology. Are they chasing after it? No, they don't need it, but it would it is being held within. Well, for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, I just keep on seeing that a lot of the energy deep within divine union is like getting to work, working on something like tangibly new. I keep on hearing new things. It's Renaissance energy, right? Doing old things in new ways is what I keep hearing. And for masculine, I keep on seeing the one thing about it is masculine right now is feeling, I keep on getting the message, they're feeling very gregarious, right? They want to share their feelings. Feminine, getting much more discerning, right? Continuing to get clarification between Emperor and our Magician energy. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through. I like it. This is nice. I like seeing this card right in the center of this reading today. What feels healthy? Not what one wants, not what one wishes to be healthy, not what one desires to be healthy, not the emotions that say I can fix it, because the emotions feel like they can fix anything, right? It's a lot of this. I keep on seeing that there's a lot of energy right now. I keep on seeing, and it has a lot to do with all this energy of Pisces moving into Aries at the same time that we've got the Aries going direct. You know, I keep on seeing like moments of clarity, right? Moments of clarity that identifies the capability of something that is actually healing versus something that feels like the repetition of a cycle, right? Continuing to get clarification between our Magician card, our Page of Swords, in combination with our Five of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify. We've got the World card. So, and I need to stress this. Like the thing about this is, and I keep on hearing across all of the frequencies right now, it's not ideal, right? But nor is it ever ideal. Nothing is ever ideal. It is ideal is what we do in the face of situations or circumstances that are not ideal, right? And a lot of that work, and I keep on seeing like this is a lot of that same message, which is the difference between someone like understanding the transformative power of something versus using it to one's own advantage is the difference between trying to embody a lesson versus trying to give a lesson, right? And this is why we talk about when we're in a healthy space, we don't match energy, because we understand that we don't teach anyone any lessons. That often in those moments that we say, "Oh, I'll teach a lesson. I'll give them what I'm I'm going to give them what they're giving me." You probably made them really happy, right? Like you probably just made them very happy. Like if you just said, "Oh, I'll teach them a lesson. I'm going to give them what they're giving me," you might have just made someone like overjoyed, right? Like that ability of doing so is not, like they're saying, like it's not about like, trying to, we don't build healthy relationships by trying to passive aggressively change each other, right? We build healthy relationships. The healthy relationships are where everything's on the table, right? We talk it out. And that's often why we're in a healthy space and someone's being passive aggressive around us. We're like, what, like it just flies over our head and out the window, right? Because it feels unnecessary. Like this could have been a conversation, like this could have been an email. It doesn't have to be complicated. But often trauma makes things that are simple incredibly complicated because there's energy that is afraid of the outcome of being authentic, right? So there's a lot of this work that we see to a certain extent that is helping. And I keep on seeing, like, I keep on seeing something that's happening for energy and separation, that's understanding the sadness in the fact that nobody wants their own trauma, right? Like we don't, like when we see something from a state of compassion, when someone says, "I wish I wasn't that way," being like, you don't have to be, right? It's like, but at the same time, I need to point out when someone says, it's always really wild when someone says, "I wish I wasn't this way," because you're like, you have the opportunity to be something else every moment of every day, right? Like the availability there, it's like every day is a beautiful gift for us to be able to change everything, right? All that it takes is the desire within ourselves to be able to apply that energy where it is needed. Continuing to get clarification between our Seven of Cups and its reversal in combination with our Six of Cups and its upright, right? We've got here our Knight of Cups and its reversal. And I keep on seeing, like, and that's how I feel like this is happening right now across the frequencies. I need to point this out. Like, I keep on hearing, "My heart breaks, but my heart is not broken." Right? And that, honestly, like that is what occurs. Like that's usually a sign that we're healing too, right? Because when we're in a space that we see something and our heart breaks for it, but our heart isn't broken, it's because, and that's what we talk about, like we move into the space of identifying what the lesson is. We understand, like we understand the source of the problem, right? And utilizing, again, that space that when we're able to articulate about it, our heart breaks but is never broken, is because, again, we see what is within our capacity to change versus what is outside of our capacity, like what is beyond ourselves to change, right? This is why we say that, like, healthy energy, it's not about building like infinite patience for those that are not treating you well. Infinite, like, like being in the spiritual healthy space is recognizing what feels like it's serving towards the desire that you're moving towards, which versus what is pulling oppositional to it. And in those moments, your heart breaks because you wish it wasn't the case, but you move onward, right? And that's why we say a lot that when we move away from someone in those moments, we give someone the map, right? We don't necessarily go away from anything. We say, "Look, here's the map. Here's the flashlight. I hope this helps you," right? Because that's that space of saying, like, and that's the difference that we often feel versus abandonment. But when we recognize someone's moving away from us from a place that would really help, so tries to help us, because I need to point out that when someone is truly trying to move away from us in a space that they're helping us, they try to provide that context through which they can understand what they could do better moving forward. But it's in those moments that we hit that. And this is the thing. Once we've told someone repeatedly what that is, and they continue to come towards us in the same fashion, like that is that moment that we understand, like what is helpful versus what is not. So it's very, I keep on seeing there's a lot of working through the nuances of those complications right now. And it's happening across all of the frequencies. And I keep on seeing that the difference is, and I keep on hearing this, like, you know, and it, again, it's very much like it's very much operating in the state of the catch, right? It's not when we're like, when, okay, so this, I'm sorry, this is coming through and I need to walk through this. Hold on. So when we are healing from trauma, or we see something that is trauma, like trauma informed, we can articulate as to why we're moving away from it, right? But we also do not need to be in a space where we need to continue to repeat ourselves, right? Because it's in that moment that we're constantly trying to repeat ourselves that trauma itself can be formed. Because that's that moment that, again, if someone comes towards us in the way that we've told them is not okay, and we've articulated the reasons why, and they persist in that way, like what they're really indicating is, and again, I need to point this out, when we're in a space of love and we hear someone giving us a note, we say, how can I improve? How can I do better? What can I do differently? Right? But when we're not in a healthy space, we'll have that moment that someone says something and it's like, it just flies over our head, out the window, down the street of like 4 blocks, right? And whether someone does that intentionally, or whether they are being intentionally obtuse, or whether they are so traumatized that they're not recognizing what you're trying to say to them. The spirit's very, I mean, I know it feels kind of rude, but spirit's very, like, says it's all the same. It's the same problem. Until someone identifies the fact that they need to work on a lesson, there's not much that can be done, right? So a lot of that work here, I just keep on seeing, like, I keep on hearing that there's new energetic connections forming with speaking towards heartbreak, right? And this is the energy that says, it doesn't say, I don't want to talk about it. This is the energy that says, no, I would love to talk about it because I'm still trying to figure it out, right? Like, this is the energy. I keep on hearing the new energetic connections that are saying to one another, I'm not the openness to discuss it is what is so, like, this is the energy that, again, everything's on the table. There's the energy saying, I'm happy to discuss it. But while at the same time, I see them navigating and saying, I want you to understand, I'm speaking about it because I'm healing from it. I'm not fixated on it. That's important. I keep on hearing the energy and separation say, I'm speaking on it because I'm healing from it, but I'm not fixated on it. I'm not fixated on it mean I'm not speaking on it because I'm trying to fixate it. Right? Fixated means I'm focusing on something because I'm trying to fix it. And that's why I keep on hearing the energy and separation that's saying, I'm speaking upon it to share the work with you, but recognize that I'm not fixated upon it. I'm not focused on fixing it. Continuing to get clarification between our 6 of Cups in combination with our World card in its upright. We've got our 3 of Wands in its upright. So a lot of this work that I keep on seeing here, and I got to tell you, like, there's a lot of energetic shifting that's happening right now. And I think, I want to tell you right now, it feels very positive, right? It feels very positive. And I'll tell you one of the reasons I think it feels positive is because if you look at yesterday's reading, we had the Tower on the far right. Now we've got the Devil on the far left, right? Which is a lot of that work, which is, again, like, it feels to me like there's a lot of work in terms that's happening right now as it relates to setting healthy boundaries. There's a lot of that work as it relates to working through distorted perceptions. But what's beautiful about this is, and I keep on hearing, when someone has a distorted perception of something, you keep distance from them, right? Because again, when someone's coming towards you from a distorted perspective and they keep bringing that distorted perspective to you, you have to say, like, I'm not willing to talk about that because your perspective is distorted, right? And often, sometimes that's why we have these conversations that we have to walk away from, because often it's that moment that someone's trying to bring to us a distorted perspective of something and we're trying to bring logic to it, and no logic feels like it's helping their distortion of perspective. That's when we say that person, that is someone who is traumatized, right? That is someone who is not seeing things clearly. The only thing you can do when someone has a distorted perception of something is give them distance until they can effectively see with clarity. And that's why I keep on seeing that the reason that there's a lot of karmic dreams right now is there's a lot of energy that has moved into partnership and they're finally seeing with clarity. Right? Like they are now in a healthy space and they're seeing everything with clarity. And a lot of sometimes awakening, I hate to break it to you, awakening has a lot to do with sometimes looking and being like, oh no, what have I done? Like, oh no, what have I done? Like the first thing you do when you awaken, you go, oh no, like, oh no. Whoops. But that's the thing. Like that's the thing about it. Like you work in that context. Like I like walk like, yeah, you woke up, go, oh no, look at this, look at the mess. Oh nuts, I gotta clean this up. Right? Like that's like that. Like that's the energy of it. But that's why the energy even there is understanding. And that's why the energy isn't running to clean things up, because that's the energy that says sometimes when you clean things up, you make a bigger mess. Sometimes you run and go, I'm here to clean something up. Be like, this doesn't need to be cleaned. To be like, oh no, right? Like that's why you see the energy being like, what do I do now? For a lot of the energy right now, like deep within divine union, this is why this energy feels like more frustrated. This is more of the energy continuing to work into the capacity of like Renaissance energy, which is like, I got something from the past, I got something from the future, now kiss. How do we work in that context of identifying? And the way I'm seeing that, like the reason they're saying that to a certain extent is because there's a lot of energy right now that is working in the context of understanding and recognizing. And I need to point this out. The work, like often when we're in a healthy space, we do not expect to find ourselves in places, right? There's a lot of that space that I keep on seeing that, and I keep on hearing. This is why the energy, I don't like the energy as, I got to figure out where the energy deep in divine union is right now, because I keep on hearing the energy say, I didn't expect to be here, but I'm glad to have found myself here. Because this is the energy that's trying to find the version of self that they need to bring forth to be able to navigate the situation. It's a lot of that same space of saying to the universe, help me see. Bottom card, final card for today's spread between our Knight of Cups and its reversal and our Three of Wands and its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Knight of Swords. There's all that Aries energy. I'm going to tell you right now, I mean this with all the love in my heart. Calm down. Everybody calm down. Everybody calm down. Why? You're thinking, you're getting real hard on yourself? Calm down. You think that person hates you? Calm down. Okay? We've got a bunch of planets in Pisces that are moving into Aries. Okay? And so it's, and we're going through a Venus in retrograde. And I'm telling you right now, it's this feeling. It's working through that context. Nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. You know, like, am I the problem? Like, it's not. It's the Venus in retrograde. Okay, it's the Venus in retrograde. At the same time, like as a lot of this energy with Aries being like, you know, it's like rushing. It's like a rush feeling. So I'll put it this way. Okay. And this is what I'm going to tell you right now as it relates to getting, and when we always start to talk like this, every time we hit these like every time we hit these eclipse cycles, you know, the difference between a good idea and a harebrained idea is that, and the reason we call it a harebrained idea is because you decided upon the moment. You make a decision and you just do it and you go, what did I do? Right? The decision that is a good decision, if it's a good decision now, it'll be a good decision in 5 minutes. And I'm not saying that you can't move forward in energy like this, but give yourself, give yourself a moment to move with intention, because all of this energy, all of this Aries, the thing is, too much Aries energy will flood the engine. Too much of that energy, like if you try to put too much ignition to something, you flood the engine. And so often, like there's a lot of this work that talks about moving with the energy that the circumstance requires, right? And that's a little bit of the difficulty here, because there's a lot of Aries energy right now. And so just be calm, or I know it's like good luck, but like work towards the space. And that's why I said find something that anchors you, And again, I'm not saying you can't make decisions right now, but just feel sure in that decision. Okay? Bottom of the deck on this reading, especially with the Hierophant in its reversal, right? It is giving me like a lot of this like new plan kind of energy, right? It is giving me a little bit of this like, like new idea. And that's the thing about it. Like, and that's why I'm not saying like it's a great time for new ideas, a great time for new plans, a great time for building, right? Maybe harebrained ideas, like feeling the inclination of doing something that you never felt prior to this moment. Give it a minute. give it a minute. If it's a good idea, a good egg. You know what's nice about a good egg? You know how you can tell it's a good egg? You know why it's a good idea? You know why it's a good egg? Because you can sit on it a little bit. Okay? It's a good egg because you can sit on it a little bit. So just keep that in mind. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a reading with me, it is a 2-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember, I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do that. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Wheel of Fortune. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, March 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Justice card. If you would like to become a part of our tarot class program, all you need to do is head over to my Substack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I will do my best in terms of helping you understand everything that we've studied prior to that class, but the material is there for you to receive when you're ready to receive it. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, wherein I will assess where you are on your personal tarot church journey and give you insights in terms of how to utilize those classes the best of your advantage going forward. You will also, as a founding member, have access to the full Tarot Church Library archive. Even if you don't become a paid subscriber, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule. Finally, I want to let you guys know today that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my clients that are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my clients seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer now dream interpretation readings. You can purchase them per dream or as a package. I simply ask, if you're going to purchase a package, make sure that you start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly, and we will sit down with that journal and I will utilize the tarot to understand the key messages and meanings of those dreams. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. And we will do this again